I'm Dr. Paul Dignan, and this is part 2 of my presentation on changing from the traditional approach to M&E planning to the new DoView visual M&E planning approach. We were just talking about the 5 steps in DoView visual M&E planning, and I'm going to take you through each of those steps with an illustrated example. First step in the process is to draw an outcomes DoView. This is a type of logic model, program theory or log frame, which is drawn in a particular way to illustrate what's happening in the program. We draw these according to a set of 13 rules, which you can find up on the DoView website. Here we have a outcomes DoView for a well-run child labour project, and I'm just going to illustrate some of the steps in this visual model, not all of them. The types of steps we'd expect would be a quality educational materials produced, a well-designed website, employers' organisations worked with effectively, children's advocacy organisations worked with effectively, child labour authorities worked with effectively, and national media attention to child labour issues increased. And if we go to the top level of this model, looking at the higher level outcomes, to reach child labour law violations reduced, we'd have things like employers aware of the existence of details of child labour laws, children and their families know about the child labour laws, authorities understand how to use the child labour laws for enforcement, children, families and others feel free and safe to make complaints to authorities, authorities act quickly on complaints, children and others who complain are protected, and authorities take appropriate cases to court. These are just some of the boxes we would have in an outcomes DoView for a program of this type. Note that within DoView software you can jump backwards and forwards between the model, and often this model would be larger with more pages than we just have in this example. The second step is to put indicators onto that model of the program, and that's what we're going to look at now. So here we've put an indicator, the number of meetings with employers' organisations. That's going to measure a partial indicator of employers' organisations worked with, the number of times you meet with those organisations, and down the bottom here the number of stories in the national media. So in this step in the model we just simply put indicators next to boxes within the DoView of the program. At the higher level we have some examples. The time authorities take to act on complaints as a measure of whether authorities act quickly on complaints. And the number of convictions under child labour laws is another higher level indicator around authorities taking appropriate cases to court. So that's that second step in the process of mapping your indicators onto your visual outcomes DoView. It's quite powerful because immediately you can see what you are measuring and what you're not measuring, and gives you a lot of clues about the types of things you should be measuring when you're designing your monitoring aspect of your M&E plan. And obviously it's a really fast way of communicating to stakeholders what you are and what you're not measuring in your program. The next step is to put evaluation questions onto the visual DoView, and we do that in exactly the same way. Let's have a look. So here we're looking at the lower part of the model about the well-run child labour law project, and we're about to put some evaluation questions. How can we improve our work with employers' organisations? This is what's called a formative evaluation question to help us have a better optimised program, and you can see where that is positioned next to the box employers' organisations worked with effectively. Other evaluation questions, now we're looking at a higher part of the model. Did the project increase employers' awareness of child labour laws? This is starting to head towards more towards the impact type of evaluation, and it's on the way to that, and it asks, did the project increase employers' awareness of labour laws? So this third step in the DoView visual M&E planning approach is to simply put your evaluation questions onto your visual model. This is very powerful because we can see where those evaluation questions sit. Are they down the lower end of the program logic, or are they up the top end heading up towards the impact? evaluation end of the possible evaluation questions. And obviously it makes it much easier to identify evaluation questions because we can use the underlying visual structure of the model to suggest to us things that we could evaluate. And it also clarifies, often you'll be talking about different wordings for evaluation questions. Because we have the discipline of putting them on the model, it means that we can know exactly what we mean by a particular wording for an evaluation question.